afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to Phil's Corner Live, to the Hot Wall, our usual stream, one of the usual streams we do here at Phil's Corner, where we rank all the latest football shirts on a giant tier list. Good to see, good to be with you, and as we start, we'll go straight into today's main topic, which is the AC Milan 4th shirt. And I wanted to start with this because it's one of the more notable releases that we've seen over the past few weeks. And I want to ask the question as we start, basically, how good is the shirt, if at all? Harry, with a great comment already, says, I can answer the main question. Really not as high as everyone's making out. So Harry is a doubter, for want of a better phrase. Yeah, we're gonna place on the Hot Wall, and what I'm gonna do, guys, we're gonna make a slight change to how we do things on the Hot Wall, which I think will be for the better. In that, rather than picking up from where we left off the list last episode, we're gonna go the other order and basically go from the most recently released shirt back, and then if there's a gap, if there's a few pages of shirts that I've missed, what I'll do is I'll fill them out probably in the time between episodes, and then we'll start the following episode. I'll recap any notable rankings. But I wanted to do that because I think, especially as it gets busier in the year, of course, with the release schedule, I don't want to be, we're always chasing our tail. We sometimes miss out talking about the latest releases, which I think is one of the most fun things we do here. So, it's a small change, but it basically means that we can talk about the newest shirts first. And we'll also maybe tweak it a bit like today. I'm going to start with the AC Milan shirt, just so we can get that front and center. And then also, if people want to click on the video later on, they want to find out kind of the big topic of the day, one of the big topics of the day, they can do that. So small change, but I think it'll be hopefully for the better. But as we start, I do want to say thank you for everyone who watched the Belgrano documentary. I was really, really proud of that one. Took a bit of time. As you would have seen, there hasn't been as many videos as I would have liked going out, simply because that was taking up a lot more time and energy. But yeah, thank you for watching it. There's some good reactions to it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's just been uploaded to the channel. Yeah, but thank you for that, and thank you for kind of supporting me to this point. I hope to do more documentaries of that nature, but again, I want to kind of park that and get through the backlog, the big backlog of shirt videos. Brock, so I haven't done the off-screen rankings yet. That's going to happen over the next week. So what we'll probably do is start with AC Milan, then go to the newest releases, and then around 3 o'clock maybe we'll pick up the rest of the MLS shirts. So we'll sort of jump around a bit, but I do want to very much do them on camera as well. Of course, we did some of the MLS shirts last time. But yeah, as we start as well, guys, I'll remind you, please subscribe if you're new. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does keep you informed of when I go live, when new videos get published to the channel, and it helps grow Phil's Corner as well. And there's a Patreon, and the Patreon is a great place to be if you want to talk about shirts a bit more deeply. We've got a Slack group which I'm in every day, and we're chatting there quite regularly. I share some content exclusively to the group which you don't get here, things like basically more to do with kind of the projects I'm working on and stuff like that. But yeah, just by watching the videos here, you're supporting me, so thank you very much. Let's get to the wall. Let's show the Hot Wall in question. This is the Hot Wall. Now, as you can see, we've got a range of shirts on here, but in many ways, it's a list which we're still adding to. It's very, very early days, and yeah, you can see here that we've got everything from my favourite shirt so far, the Hokkaido Sapporo shirt, right down to shirts which I'm not so keen on, including Napoli. Guys, I'm just going to grab a drink actually, 1 second. I'll be back very, very soon. Hey guys, sorry about that. I am back. Let's get to the wall. Let's get to the wall, and we will start. I'll just create a folder for us, and we're going to start with AC Milan. So the story with the AC Milan shirt, essentially, this is a collaboration shirt with the brand Coche. Or I don't know how you say the name. I'll call them Coche. I don't know. I'm going to assume they're a fashion brand, but again, I couldn't tell you anything about that. I'm sure you can find that online. This is an interesting design, and I think for me, this is one which I must admit has grown on me quite a lot. We said at the start, Harry mentioned his dislike of the shirt, which is understandable, but I'll be honest, I've got a bit of a soft spot for this. Now, I think I was trying to think about what I like about this, and for me, I think it taps into something which I've not thought about much before this season, but often special edition shirts look like they could basically belong to any team, and I actually prefer a shirt which has elements which feel very much part of a club's identity, but that are experimented with in a different way. So in this example, obviously you've got the trademark colours of AC Milan, but I really like this quite abstract interpretation of the stripes. I actually think it looks really good. I think what I like about this, when you look up close, I really like the different kind of usages of almost like a checkerboard style. It's almost like a dazzle camo shirt. You know, that kind of pattern there is almost like dazzle camo. There's also a kind of pixelated element, but I actually think it comes together quite nicely. I like the choice of gold for the applications, and a huge thing which you guys know I love, stripes on the back. Now, I do think there's a few things I would have done differently. I'm not the biggest fan of the collar. It feels a bit of an afterthought. I'll be interested to see it without it, or at least with a more refined, simple style. But I'll be honest, I think it looks good. It was worn on pitch, which of course, one of the criteria for the Hot Wall is that the shirt is actually worn on the pitch in a game, not just a lifestyle item. We're not making goalkeeper kits as well, but I did like the goalkeeper kit in the beige or the off-white. It's more of a beige, more of a kind of sand there, isn't it? But yeah, I must admit, I mean, I think with the shorts, it's pretty crazy, but I rate this. Now, I honestly think when I look at this and I look at the wall, I think it is going to sneak into the Volcano tier. I really think it compares well to the likes of the Austin shirt, which we talked about, and I really like. And yeah, I honestly think, again, apart from the collar, which I'm not the biggest fan of, the back neck detail as well could be improved, you know, if we're being really picky. But I do enjoy, like, I think the clincher for me was seeing the stripes on the back. So I'm a fan. I really am. I think I'm quite happy putting it in the Volcano tier. So fair play. I mean, this is not, you know, anyone who has watched Hot Wall before will know we don't just stick any old shirt in this tier. But I really like it. I wasn't necessarily thinking it was going to be a Volcano tier shirt when I first saw it, but seeing it on pitch convinced me. At the very least, I think, you know, this is the right way to go about a special edition shirt in terms of design. I think it is the right approach. And honestly, yeah, I'm going to stick it here. That's the AC Milan shirt. Ragav, great to see you here, Ragav, with a few comments saying Royal Rumble the football shirt tiers. Indeed. Mentioned long sleeves are superior. Yes, they are. I put a tweet out about that this week. It's been a fun topic of discussion. But also said, love the Milan shirt. Wish the collar had the pixelated graphic too. Yeah, that's an interesting shout. Bit of the graphic on there. I think in general, and this is not just with Puma. To be honest, often you see shirts like this where, because of the differences in material, there's a bit of a colour mismatch between the collar and the body here. But you know, that's not exclusive to Puma. But yeah, I really like it. I think it looks great there on the frame. It's wild, but you know, it's a full shirt. It's ultimately just there as something, you know, an opportunity to do something different. I think they nailed it. I think they nailed the brief. So that's the AC Milan shirt. Only off, was that the 4th Volcano Tour shirt of the year? Of course, there'll be more as we go through. It's worth saying as well, of course, again, if you are new, you might not know, but we've got all the brands listed up here. And the idea with this is that every time we rank a shirt from a brand, we'll kind of slide their name up or down the tier list, kind of to give it an impression of the overall kind of feeling of the brand. And I think certainly this helps Puma's case. Of course, this is a kind of collaboration shirt, but I'd be quite happy moving it up. Yeah, as high as there. We will see how they do with a few more releases though. So that's the Milan shirt. Let me know, guys, what you think of this shirt. Are you in Harry's camp? Do you dislike it? Do you like it? Let me know. And we're going to go now. We're going to loop back to the most recent shirt from our friends at Football Shirt Culture, who have got this excellent site with all the latest releases. And we're going to go from reverse order. So again, a slight change to how we do things before. I think this will help though. We get to talk about a few of the newer designs. Some good ones to talk about on this page. Let's start with Dundee's third kit. Now, Dundee are with Macron. Macron, a brand who, broadly speaking, I think have been quite good. I mean, if we look here, they're a little bit down in the candle tier, but it's early days. I wouldn't take too much stock in this. You know, you've got the likes of Nike, who again haven't done a lot of shirts on this list today. So, Macron though. Let's have a look. On the Milan houses, I think it's too high, but that's my opinion. Hey, Harry, that is what we like. You know, you don't want to just go with the crowd. I honestly do understand. I don't think it's necessarily an objectively good shirt by any means, but what I would say is that yeah, I think it ticks a lot of boxes for me, but that's more than fair, mate. Right, this shirt, the purple colour, the purple base colour is quite nice. Purple is not a colour we see too much. It's certainly, I think, a good colour to explore further. And the other big feature, or the most obvious feature, is the sleeve pattern. I don't think the execution or the style of it is that great. I think these elements, which are quite interesting, these shapes here, particularly this shape, the crown to a lesser extent, but this shape could have been used in a more interesting way. This style honestly looks a bit cheap to me. You know, I mean, even just looking at this with the embroidered logos, the way it pulls the material, it honestly is a bit of a step down from what you usually see from Macron shirts. The sublimated sponsors, good for durability, but not really good for kind of the quality of the shirt. I think this one has a nice base colour and quite a good idea for a theme or style, but I think the end result is actually a bit underwhelming. So I'm actually thinking more in the candle tier, probably in the kind of low mid region around here. And of course, that being a Macron shirt, we will bump Macron down ever so slightly. Yeah, honestly, I think I'd expect more from Macron. Again, it's that sleeve, the makeup of the sleeve pattern there. I think it could be better. You know, I think again, if it was me, I'd take this this element, this design element. I don't know what it is exactly, but you could use that, and I think you can make a much nicer pattern, which is a bit less kind of obvious or a bit less in your face than this kind of this style. Make it look a bit more attractive. Funnily enough, I think an example of how you could do that is in the next shirt, and that's the Huddersfield Town shirt. Andres, good to see you. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Now this, guys, I mean, this was a rare example of a shirt which I bought immediately. Because for those who don't know, I live in Huddersfield. I've been here for over a decade now. So by proxy, I'm a Huddersfield Town fan. But I saw the shirt yesterday. It was limited edition, and I really like it. And I like it for a couple of reasons. Now, the first is that it's been designed with a great illustrator called Peter O'Toole, who is from Huddersfield. He's a Huddersfield fan, and he is a great designer in the space, in the football space. He's been doing stuff for quite a while with a number of different people, like Adidas and Mundial. But he has been involved in this, and I really like this style where, again, a bit like the Dundee shirt, but for me this pattern is much better executed. I really like it kind of has, you know, that tried and tested approach of a plain body with patterned sleeves, which I've talked about before. I really like that. And the thing that takes us to the higher level for me is that it actually has a reason, or there's a story behind that pattern. It's all based on helicopter rotator blades. Because one of the shirts, this is like a shirt for charity, one of the charities which you'll see on the front is Yorkshire Air Ambulance, who basically have a range of helicopters that operate as ambulances, and the colour scheme is based from the helicopters, which are predominantly yellow with a bit red, and their logo is red, and the pattern is based on helicopter blades. So great story. I like the execution. For me, this is, you know, a step up from the Dundee shirt, certainly. Even though I do really like the colour kind of story, I will say that I don't think the end colour result is as attractive as it could be. Objectively speaking, whilst I do like the shirt, whilst I bought the shirt, I wouldn't put it in the Volcano tier. I don't think the yellow and red is the strongest. I mean, it reminds you know, like the Liverpool third shirt from the other year. Elijah, good to see you, Elijah. Welcome. But I really like it. So for me, it's kind of a low flames tier. And again, it's funny because I did buy this shirt immediately and I do like it. But I do think, again, it's a hard colour combo to get right. And for me, it would need a couple more touches. Maybe even a bit more of a kind of detail on the back could help. But honestly, I think it's really good. And of course, again, it's for charity, which is a real plus point. Yeah, Huddersfield they're my local team. So a bit of bias there. But I think this is a comfortable Flames t-shirt. For me, this would feel right around this kind of area. Yeah, and I think the biggest takeaway as well, get artists involved in your kits. You know, Pete has been involved in this one. Peter O'Toole, and he is, as I say, a designer and an illustrator I've certainly been aware of for quite a while now. And what's funny, this might be our first Umbo shirt. I think it is, right? I'm just looking through, and yeah, so there we go. Our first Umbo shirt of the year. Oh, don't want to flip you over there. We will stick them on the boards, and of course, because it's the first shirt, we will line up that with the shirt there. Lovely stuff. Yeah, around there. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, guys, that is the Huddersfield Town charity shirt. Yeah. Pretty solid. Pretty solid. Good start from Umbo. I feel like they've kind of fallen off the wayside a bit. They're not as prominent as they used to be. Hopefully we see a bit more of a return to form, I think, because they are good to have in the game, and not only for their history, but I think generally speaking they do actually do a lot of good work kind of helping push the industry forward, you know, with interesting designs. They're big on collaborations. I think they are actually one of the better brands out there. So sorry guys, we come to Sacramento Republic, or Republic FC. I must admit, I thought the name was Sacramento Republic, but according to this, it's Republic FC. Anyway, we'll call them Republic. These guys have just switched to Hummel, I believe. And Hummel in the States have been doing a lot of good stuff. Of course, you could think of the likes of Fort Madison, but there's been other clubs as well who have been working with Hummel, and they're growing their profile in the States. And even though a lot of the designs tend to be sublimated, they do have a lot of interesting designs. This one is certainly one of them. This is some sort of, I think they've called it the Legacy kit. Yeah, so Legacy kit. I believe one of the first kits that they had about 10 years ago, which is how long the club has been going, had a sash. So this is kind of playing on that. And you've got various symbols from the club's history, you know, elements of the crest and stuff like that. I think, well, I like the shirt as a whole, but I would say that the style of the sash is a little bit basic for me. I would have preferred something a bit more kind of intricate, something like the Bromley shirt from last year. maybe even the Belgrano shirt, something which is a bit more kind of designed, if I could put it that way, a bit less kind of literal, but the overall effect is good, and I do like the look of this Hubble template. You know, with the chevrons there, looks like there's a bit of texture on those, but I can't see for sure. And the black and grey is nice. I like that. I do really like the look of this patch. That again, this is so much. A lot of shirts are missing, but that is really nice. Honestly, that's one of the better looking details. I'd say back neck details we've seen this year. That looks really good. Fairly simple application, but I really like the style of it. So this one I think is overall pretty good. I don't think it, again, it's not kind of thinking Volcano tier to me. I don't think it gets to that level. And I'm actually sort of thinking it's probably in the lower flames, maybe a bit lower than Huddersfield. But overall, a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff. And this is obviously, with it being a relatively new partnership for the club with Hubble, yeah, this is a good start. This is a good start for the partnership. So I think this is the first shirt, unless they've announced another shirt, but I think this is the first one. So yeah, it's funny because we've got Hubble already lined up here, and that's exactly what I was thinking in terms of a placement. So I'll shove them down there, and I don't think we need to move Hubble at all. We'll nudge them up 1 pixel. There you go. But yeah, that's the Republic FC Legacy kit. What do you guys think about it? It's a very American thing, like when they do this in MLS as well. Rather than home or away kit or third kit, it's some sort of marketing buzzword or some sort of themed buzzword. I personally think that's quite annoying, but each to their own. I mean, having said that, Virginia-based Loudoun United haven't done that. But anyway, so staying in the States, as I say, this is a USL Championship club. Honestly, I think from what I can tell, we've just got a couple of templates here. Of the two, I think this is the away. It's certainly the more interesting of the two, but you've still got what has become for me quite a tired pattern, this kind of painterly brushstroke pattern, which we've seen quite a few times on other kits. Often not in I will say not often in this template, or at least maybe I've just not seen this template a lot. This is certainly the better of the two. I just don't like this Adidas template. Again, it's something we've seen for a while. I think one of the worst things for me is that you've got the plain sleeves and it cuts it off really abruptly. It is bad. To be honest, this particular shirt, I think we can comfortably say is the worst one we've seen this year. Templates in themselves aren't necessarily bad things, but templates like this, not feeling it. Not feeling it at all. Sometimes a template can actually still resonate despite heavy usage, but this one isn't one of those. I think the style of it for me is not doing anything at all. And again, we've seen it. I mean, having said that, I couldn't name a specific team. I just know that this is from the Team catalog, but maybe I'm being hypocritical because I can't actually think of a specific team with this off the top of my head. I'll let you think of it in the comments, but you'll have to trust me. Of course, this being an Adidas shirt as well, we will consider that. An Adidas who have been generally, I think, on account of the MLS kits, actually doing quite well. We will move them down slightly, and it's only going to get worse for them because I don't think this shirt is much better either. Although I will say it is better. I must say, despite it being a template, it's not a bad usage of it. I think small things about this template which I like. I appreciate that the hoops go all the way down to the bottom, and I do actually think that in this colour scheme with the white base and the black and red coming through with the black 3 stripes, I think the overall look of it is much stronger than the home. I think having the black as a kind of third colour really helps balance it out, as opposed to just the red and white. So I'm still not high on this, but I would put this in the candle tier, to be honest. Kind of low to mid, but maybe the middle actually, to be honest. But not high, and certainly again we have seen much better from Adidas. But then again, this is the USL Championship club. We're not talking about one of the big Adidas clubs. But yeah, I think you'd want to see more. If this was your team shirt, you'd be underwhelmed at best. But you know, I mean, I think I would consider it around the PSG shirt, maybe controversially. I'm going to stick it here. And that will knock Adidas down a bit more. So we'll stick them about there. There we go. That is the Loudon. I don't know how you say the name. Loudon? Pronunciation is not my strong point, as any long-time viewers will know. Guys, good to see a decent number of us here today. Don't forget, if you are new, to subscribe. And what do we have here? Liga Deportiva, sorry, Alajuelense. Again, I've completely butchered that. I do apologise. I was going to say Mexican. The Costa Rican side, I should say. Nice. Looking at this. This pattern is great. It's a lot of fun. We've seen a lot of shirts in this style. You know, the kind of the tattoo kind of vibes, and honestly the execution is great. Now it's funny because we just looked at some shirts with kind of black and red, or red and white and a bit of black. This takes a similar color scheme and does a much better job, or certainly a much more interesting job. And the fact that you've got the pattern all over the sleeves, on the back, there's a nice consistency there. Obviously, as you do get with a lot of Central or South American sides, there's a lot of sponsors, including some classic sponsors. These guys, Cementos Fortaleza, they are often on with their very large logo. But honestly, just from the base of the shirt, really cool. I just said I was outside at LDA's stadium back in January when I was there on vacation. They're in San Jose, the capital of Costa Rica. Thank you. Great. This is what I love about the whole ball. The viewers, you guys, you often bring in some great nuggets of knowledge. So, thank you, Adidas. This looks really good. Now, what I will say is I don't really like this stripe detail. That feels completely unnecessary. I wonder if that's maybe been added just kind of, you know, help mitigate any kind of mismatches, sorry guys, in the pattern. But the overall, you know, I don't think that adds anything to it. And of course, it is hard to read the sponsors, but of all the ways they could have done it, that's fine. No, I think this is really good. I'd not seen this before coming on to the show today, coming on to the stream, but that's an easy hot tier, flames tier. I'm struggling a bit today, aren't I, to actually speak, but great stuff from LDA. The crest application, or the crest material, looks pretty cheap, and I will say that I think the actual Kelme paw, the Kelme logo, would look nicer there in the typical position. But this is absolutely a Flames tier shirt, and to be honest, I think I'll be quite happy kind of middle of the Flames tier. I think it deserves to be in the same conversation around the Columbus shirt. I like it there. In fact, I'll stick it down here to fill the gap. But good stuff, and that is from Kelme, a brand which sort of waiting in the wings somewhat, but really good stuff. I don't think we've had a Kelme shirt, have we? So we had our first Umbo shirt, and I think we're going to have our first Kelme shirt. I'm just double checking. Good stuff. That's Kelme. So flying on the board. I mean, at this stage, if we were to stop the list now, they would be in 4th place. With just one shirt, though. And again, a lot could change in the space of what we're in March. We've still got 10 months to go. We're in it for the long haul. But yeah, that's Kelme. That is with Liga Deportiva I cannot say the name. Alajuelense? LDA for sure. Their third kit. Really good stuff. I don't remember seeing their home or away kit actually, so maybe we missed those last year. I don't know. Now we come to the America to Cali shirt. Now I've just read this is a commemorative shirt. Will this be worn on pitch? Is the question. Let's have a look. Now, to be honest, I'm not certain. I'm going to rank it as if it is, because typically speaking, shirts on this countdown that Football Shirt Culture have are worn on the pitch. Not always, but we'll rank it as if it is. And if I get a confirmation that it wasn't, we'll take it off. Allahu Elenza. Thank you, Manchester. Thank you. I appreciate it. You're certainly one of the people helping to keep me in check with my terrible pronunciations. So America to Cali from Colombia. This one has a lot of nice details. Now, when you see these kind of shirts with monochrome details, blackout details, etc., sometimes it can feel a little bit rushed. You know, you just slap everything in one colour. But what I like is that they've kept the some elements in white, so it's not just all red. And it gives the impression of an old school shirt, where you would often just have the manufacturer logo. But it looks really good. I like the name across the chest, and indeed that back neck detail is excellent. Very simple but very nice. Yeah, this shirt I think looks really good. And again, I don't know if they're going to wear this on the pitch, but we're gonna assume they are. I mean, one thing I sometimes do is just jump onto Twitter, and you can sometimes just by searching the team name, obviously have a quick kind of gander at the. If we just kind of do like pictures, for example, let's have a quick look. Sometimes you'll obviously see the word in the game. Not on the 26th. When was this released? 27th. So I'm going to rank it, but again, we will take off the list if they are not playing in it. Or maybe I can double check. No, I said just it is a big help, my friend. Yeah, so guys, I think this is well executed. Small things like the fact that Lecoq Sportif have actually gone all white on the logo there, rather than having the usual French flag colours. And I think the overall kind of look of it is really strong. I think that collar, again, makes sense for the retro vibe. I think this is easily another Flamestick shirt. And again, we're assuming they wear it on pitch. We might have to retract our rankings, but it's good stuff. It's good stuff from Lecoq Sportif. And, you know, I think, again, rather than just seeing cheap, some of these blackout designs, because it's become a trend, obviously we've seen so many, I much prefer some of this, which is a bit more considered. Even though it follows a lot of the principles of monochrome shirts, I think the overall look, the end result is stronger. Yeah, so that's the Lecoq Sportif. Surely, have we not done them either? Tell you what, this is a day for first here. With Umbro, Kelway, and now Lecoq Sportif. Of course, again, we are early on in the year, but I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. But there we go. Let's get them on the board for the sake of yeah, there we go. Nice. So that's America de Cali. Just checking, guys, am I right in saying you can't hear a faint buzz? Because I'm using my phone still, and I still need to get my new setup sorted. The data, because I have to use data for different reasons, is coming through the speakers here, and there's a bit of noise. If it is coming through, let me know, and I can certainly change that. Right, next shirt is one we can talk about for a little while: the FC Basel Carnival kit. Brock said Basel shirt is fun. It is indeed fun. Now, this is one of those shirts which falls into the broad category of carnival shirts. We've seen a lot. You tend to see them a lot in the Bundesliga, but you know, around Europe especially, you get a lot of these shirts which typically have this kind of colour scheme. Primary colours with whites and a bit of black as well, or darker shades. Sorry guys. This one is a really fun design, and it takes those colours and kind of blends them with these gradients, and I do actually think the overall look is pretty strong. Even though what I will say is some of these gradients are a little bit harsh. I can understand why they're there, but if you look here, for example, the kind of the space that's been cleared for the sponsor or has been put behind the crest and the Macron logo. Honestly, I think they could have reeled that in a little bit, but I'm being picky. I think it is a lot of fun, and you can see, of course, on the pitch as well. Really cool. I mean, there's these extra patches as well. I don't know what these are all about, but they look a lot of fun. Yeah, it looks really cool. Again, I think it just isn't quite reaching the volcano tier for me, despite being a really interesting design. I think it's the gradients. I think for me, it's that kind of the choice to use the gradients in that, I would say, a bit too heavily. There's too much, I would say, that's kind of been taken away from the design. The detail on the back as well is a little bit kind of basic. I think that could have been more interesting, or at least a bit less literal, which again is something, it's understandable. You want to get this, I assume this is a chant of some sort, but yeah, it's a really good shirt. It's a really fun shirt. I think for kind of personal taste reasons, there we go, back. Personal taste reasons, I don't think it gets into the volcano tier. I actually don't quite know if I think it's in the flames tier, but probably in the lower end of the flames tier for me. But long sleeves. I think the shirt was available in long sleeves as standard, which is a big draw. And yeah, these sorts of carnival shirts, they are a lot of fun. Playing with this colour scheme, playing with quite a vibrant palette. You can get some really good stuff. So that is the Basel Carnival shirt. But of course, as I said, I miss visiting Carnival in Germany. I bet. And I just said a lot going on there. I like it. Yeah, I think I am honestly, I like it more than I don't. Even though I'm thinking kind of around this region, which might seem a bit muted, but what's funny is this year started off very strong. Most of the time, maybe I'm just having a good year. I don't know, feeling good about these shirts. But most of the shirts usually end up in this tier. It's kind of been a lot more spread out this year. Maybe it's just a better year for shirts. A bit too early to call that, but we'll see how we go. There's another Carnival shirt. It seems appropriate to put it near there. I actually think I'd take the Mind shirt, not by much. We'll stick it literally there, but two good shirts. Two fun takes on Carnival shirts, which I think has become a nice subgenre, a pleasing subgenre which you'd like to see. Now this is the Torino Fujin 10 shirt. Now what's going on here? What does that even mean? part of the hot war is just trying to figure out what a shirt even is in the first place. So this is the Torino. What looks like some sort of collaboration. So, idea from Suzuki's head designer. Okay, yep, cool. So, some sort of collaboration. I don't know exactly what's going on here. What's going on the back? Not sure about that back panel. The pattern's interesting there. I think, honestly, this is a bit all over the place. Now you see here, and you can see even in the background of these promo shots, there's clearly some interesting elements. You've got the very obvious kind of Japanese iconography and imagery. But the way, we talked about gradients, the way it just fades in, very cheap, very tacky for me. This element is quite nice, but again, it looks weird on the back panel. I don't really understand why we haven't used that element in a I would say in a more attractive way. That to me, the way it's blocked off, not too sure about that. I think this is just a bit jumbled, a bit muddled. It's a very again, some of the individual elements, like again the pattern on the white there, and zooming in here, which I can't seem to do, but that's okay. You know, honestly would rather have that subliminal pattern continuing on the top. So the whole thing is actually quite messy in the end. A real shame, because I think clearly there's some nice ideas, but not enjoying the final execution. So I think it has to be, well, I'm thinking something quite low in the candles here. Oh, I just realised we didn't move Macron after the Basel shirt. Now where are Macron? There they are. Must not forget that. If I do forget anything, do shout at me, guys. But we'll move them back up. That seems about right. Yeah, so Torino and Joma or Homer, definitely not. Definitely not a bad idea, but I don't think it's well executed. And I'm struggling to see the story. The story. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on this. True inspiration from the Japanese artwork. Depicts the god of thunder, Raijin. Yeah, really cool story, but I don't see enough in the kit. I think it's been kind of contained a bit too much. Utilised in a suboptimal way, I would say. So that is Homer. I don't think this is funny. I guess this is going to happen at the start of the year. There's so many brands which we haven't actually ranked yet. So there we go. That's another one. What's that? The fourth brand to just today that we haven't yet ranked. So we'll stick them on. I'm sure one of these weeks, these early weeks, I'm gonna add someone twice though. I'm already kind of slightly paranoid that I've done that. Oh dear. So we'll add Homer there. Yeah, that's the Torino shirt. Oh, Hanover. Falling into the blackout trap. Whilst I do like what looks to be a very slightly embossed pattern on the body, and that is quite nice, that's quite attractive. But it is, you know, largely speaking, just a blackout shirt. Now that pattern in the body does save it from kind of, you know, complete. Well, honestly, that does help a lot. But it's the novelty's worn off, guys. By this point, we've seen enough. It's hard now for a blackout shirt to impress me. And we saw so many. You saw something like the SK brand shirt, an incredible design which had these iridescent details. That was just streets above. And you know, there's been many others. This one, again, the pattern in the body is quite good. Although it is a shame that we don't see it on the sleeves, but that's fair enough. Maybe there's a bit of contrast there, I suppose. It's on the back as well, this embossed pattern. I think it's in the carrot here. I think there's enough to keep it from falling down further, but you know, I'm largely disappointed, as I'm sure you can hear in my voice. Yeah, we could do better. It's one of those things where, because we've seen, there's very few things left to see, I think, in this monochrome space, at least for the time being. The key area of differentiation, I think, is in things like the applications and the materials, because of course from a design perspective you're often largely banking on the fact that all black is quite an attractive colorway, it's quite a wearable colorway, but we have seen so much of it. Having said that, I think it's better than some of these lower counter tier shirts, despite being quite uninspired. So we will stick it around here, and this is Macron, you know, somewhat sliding down, at least on the basis of a few shirts today. Yeah. Arnold, good to have you along. Good to have you along. Tuning in all the way from Long Beach, California. Yeah, we do have a nice little American contingent here, which is always good. But welcome, mate. Welcome to the stream. So that's the Hanover shirt. Yeah, I think you know what's funny is we're going to see more blackout shirts this year. Of course, it's possibly the most pervasive trend, maybe outside of black and gold, I suppose. But it's one of those which, because it was so popular, we're still seeing the kind of trickle down effect of that. And there's so much of it. There's so much of it. This is the black coat. This is the Emmen, FC Emmen shirt from Hummel. This is an interesting one. We've got this all over pink style. I believe this is, looks like it is, yeah, it's raising money. So I was going to say, I believe this one was raising some money for some charitable causes. Looks like this was raising awareness for testicular cancer. So a good cause. Honestly, I think the pattern isn't necessarily to my taste, at least in this colour. This kind of snake skin camo. I think it is like a snake skin, right? But to be honest, even though it's not my biggest, I'm not the biggest fan. I do think the kit's quite strong with the. I like the choice of simple white socks. I know it sounds obvious, but and these are almost. I think they are just plain, but with the pink shirt and shorts, I should say. I think it's overall pretty good. Again, I don't think the pattern is. I'm not loving that aesthetically, but it goes on the back and the sleeve, so that's quite strong. Yeah, overall, I think this is. It's probably in the very high cannon tier, maybe the flames tier. On another day, I might sneak it in. I think you could certainly make an argument for it to be higher. But I think I'm going to stick it. Yeah, I think I'm landed around the higher cannon tier, personally. What do you guys think? I mean, this is another shirt from our boys Hummel. And, you know, what's interesting is you do get a lot of variety. Of course, Hummel being relatively big, or certainly having a wide, diverse portfolio, it's interesting to see the differences between, say, the Hummel US shirts with the shirts coming out of Hummel in Denmark. But anyway, let's stick them here, and again, we will consider that and move Hummel down as a result. But still not looking too bad. What's that? Probably still top 10. Yeah, that's the FC Emmen shirt. Just check it out. Yeah, nice. Cool. Let's go to the next page. And we've got Bristol City. Now, Bristol City, an interesting story. Of course, I say of course. If you haven't seen, they just moved from Hummel basically mid-season, and the long and short of it is because Hummel's UK licensee, or their previous UK licensee, went into administration, which caused a lot of problems, particularly for clubs lower down the divisions. But Bristol City's still a pretty big club. But they were, one of the number of clubs affected, and rather than kind of trying to wait it out to next year, they've actually made the switch mid-season, which is very interesting. And they've gone to O'Neill's, a brand who have been doing a lot of good stuff, and they're certainly one which I think are growing in certainly their size, and I think, broadly speaking, I like a lot of what they're doing. Now, on the hot ball, we don't rank goalkeeper kits, so we won't rank this quite fetching feather-based design, which plays on some of the previous themes that they had, Bristol City had with Hummel. We'll go to the home shirt though. We will rank the home shirt. And this one, for me, it's there's some nice elements. The detail here, even though it's just sublimated, is pretty solid. And looking now at the the shirt with the sponsor, pretty good sponsor implementation. Of all the ways to do it, that's basically one of the best, I would say. With the pinstripes, very minimal break, but honestly, that is good implementation. It looks sharp. It honestly looks pretty good. We've seen shirts in this style be quite popular before, and I do actually think the overall aesthetic is pretty strong. I wouldn't say it would be out of place to have the shirt. I keep doing this, don't I? Let's try again. I don't think it'd be out of place to have the shirt kind of quite high in the calendar here, maybe even the Flames tier. So let's just grab it now. And we'll stick it. I think, yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a look at our list. This is something, every time I'm grabbing a shirt, I'm kind of thinking, where would I place this in relation to the other kits? I think it has to go in the calendar tier, but only just. It's definitely a kind of higher calendar tier shirt. If we just, yeah, something around here feels good. This is, yeah, that feels decent. So nothing too spectacular, but O'Neill's clearly are bringing something to the table. So I'm very much in a wait and see mood here. I'm quite biased towards Hubble, but you know, I can understand the move, of course, given the circumstances. It's more of yeah. So that's O'Neill's. This is another new brand. We've had several new brands now. So we'll chuck them on the list. Let me make sure I actually spell it correctly. O'Neill's. Nice. Oh, we need 2 L's, don't we? Just congratulating myself on the misspelling there. There we go. There's O'Neill's in the calendar. Guys, I'm going to take a very short break. I'll be back shortly. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Hot Wall. As we I'll just pick up where we were. As you finish, I should have said actually, my plan was to finish a little bit earlier today. I think I put on the schedule till 4. I'm thinking more actually like kind of 3:15, 3:20. So apologies for that. I should have amended the schedule. But we will now finish in the last kind of half hour looking at, well, we're going to start with picking up where we left off with the MLS kits. Because the MLS kits, I think, are some of the more interesting ones that we've seen this year. So, let's remind ourselves how far we got. So we're going to have to track back now a little bit. And we'll walk through the pages. Because as we go through, I want to see we're not missing out any. So, okay, so here we go. So, from memory, we haven't done Orlando or Minnesota. Don't think we've done Toronto. I'm going to have to refresh my memory now as to what we have done. Again, we're just looking at MLS for the time being. So that's Miami. I don't think we've done them. Cincinnati. I feel like we did Cincinnati for sure. And did we do the Dortmund shirt? Maybe we didn't actually. I think we didn't. I might be wrong. Did we do AOK? See, there's a few here now, which I think we must have ranked the Cincinnati one using pictures elsewhere. I think that's what happened, wasn't it? Yeah, I think that's what happened, because we did New England as well. So again, I hope I'm not going to double down here. If I am, that would be unfortunate. But anyway, let's pick back up with so let me just grab that. Let's just make sure we've got, so there we go. Yeah, let's go for Orlando. So again, looking at some of the highlights of the MLS kits, I really like Austin shirt, and we've also got Seattle doing quite well there. But Philly were there, Philadelphia, Portland, several MLS shirts I think are really strong this year. For me, the priorities are very much these two in terms of my own personal collection. I'm quite keen on the Seattle one, particularly seeing that up close. But overall, pretty strong looking year for MLS kits, I would say. It's a shame they're so expensive, but that is a secondary issue. Let's come though firstly to Orlando. We talked about purple shirts. Of course, these guys have had purple shirts now. Well, that is their colour. I must say this is one of the less exciting ones, but having said that, the colour scheme is good, and this is something which sometimes, guys, a good colour scheme is enough of a draw for a shirt. You know, sometimes it isn't about the patterns necessarily. What I would say is that I think the pattern it is very simple. It does add something. I think it's better than no pattern in this instance. Backnet detail is pretty good, not too bad at all. We don't have a jock tag, but that's a small thing, which you like to see, but it isn't seemingly here. And the gold is very. I mean, sometimes I've said before with gold, if you've not won a trophy, it can feel a little bit kind of on the nose, but it is part of their colour scheme, so we'll let them off. No, I like this one. I think, honestly, even though it's not going to grab any headlines, I actually think this is a kind of high candle tier, knocking on the door of the Flames tier, despite it being largely just a simple purple and gold shirt in the club's colours. But no, I like it. I think it looks pretty good. I think the pattern, even though the pattern is very simple, it does add just a nice little bit of depth to the base. So yeah, it's not going to be on anyone's top list shirts of the year list or anything like that, and it certainly is overshadowed by some of the stronger MLS releases. But I don't feel bad putting it around here. I mean, having said that, of course the standard has been pretty high, so this does actually end up being one of the slightly lower MLS shirts. But of course, being Adidas, we will bump them up a little bit, and I'd expect to see a bit more improvement again, even though Adidas kind of slid down the list off the back of the Loudon shirts. But then we come to Minnesota. Now, this one was on many people's radars as one of the more interesting designs of the collection, and it certainly is a punchy look. I believe this is looking at kind of the Northern Lights or the Star of the North kind of vibe here. Very, very interesting front base. The Target logo, it's always quite a, it does kind of take away it somewhat, but at the same time, there is a kind of novelty to it for me. I really like this back neck detail. Again, it's very simple, but I think it looks really good. And I like this version with the loon, the bird there. Look at that. I love it. Love a good close up of the TPE or the plastic crest, which looks really good, the alternate crest. I must say, I actually do think this is really strong. I think because you've got the black kind of hem and the details, even though the back is, largely plain, I don't mind the overall look. Having the very, very vibrant light blue there to block off the top, I think this is really strong. This is, to be honest, this is definitely one which the more I'm looking at it, I think this works out well. Great decision to have pink on the other side of the three stripes. That is excellent. So this is definitely, I would say, a Flames t-shirt. I actually do think, personally, I would take. It's not challenging this top contingent here. I actually think I'd probably place it closer, somewhere in the region of these shirts here. May to be honest, maybe it is as good as the Portland shirt. It's What, I keep hitting a shortcut there, which I don't mean to. There we go. No, I think this might be better than the Portland shirt. It's up there. It's as good as the Portland shirt, I think. And you know what? I'm going to stick it slightly ahead. I rate it. These are the kind of shirts which now are quite typical of MLS. I mean, it's, for all the kind of issues with MLS, and I do still think the league-wide deal, though it is a standard in American sports, I think it has its issues. But credit where credit's due. I do think this is. I can't remember a stronger year for MLS other than the golden era of the 90s. I actually think this is. I honestly, I'd have to go back and look. But headline: this is the best Adidas wide MLS season. I think I might be speaking out of turn there. And again, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that, particularly our good American friends who could speak more to whether it is actually as good as it seems. But that's Adidas as well. We'll slide them back up. It's getting crowded here. But that's a good kind of feather in their cap. I mean, it could be just that we've seen a lot of MLS shirts because, of course, the American release window is a bit earlier in the year, so we do sort of see them. It's a bit front-ended, if you like, with those shirts. But pretty good. Now we come to Toronto. Now, I must say, this one, it's one which doesn't excite you too much from a colour perspective. These are, I think this is referencing an old kit. It's certainly even I have vague memories. Let's check it out. Let's go to old football shirts. Good old football shirts are a trusty source of shirt histories, which is community driven. Now there are some big gaps here. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. It's one of those where I do think. So we'll go back to the Toronto. The overall colour palette isn't too attractive. I think it's it could be much better. There's some interesting details with the sound wave details there, and what I do like is that you've got details within this trim, within this hem, and we've seen that a few clubs have done this. A few clubs have got this sort of style where you've got a pattern, whether it's this sort of detail. Maybe it's an embossed pattern. You've seen a few, and I do actually, broadly speaking, like that we're seeing clubs and teams use that area of the Adidas shirts for details. Jock tape detail could be, it's a little bit simple in terms of application, but that is what it is. Just the overall look. I'm struggling to get too excited, even though there are a lot of nice details. It's clearly well thought out in terms of the details. Playback, but that is largely what you get with Adidas shirts. You can see the sound wave on the bottom there. I think looking at the shirts here, it reminds me. I think it compares pretty well to the Orlando shirt. I'd probably nudge it down slightly compared to the Orlando one. I just think that, again, the colours. It's not a very. I don't think it's a very attractive colour scheme. At least with this kind of balance. Sometimes the colour scheme isn't so much a problem because of the colours, it's more just the balance. I say problem, it's a subjective thing, isn't it? But I don't know. I think this one could actually grow on me as I see it more. But as it is, I'm feeling swing around here. We've not had many shirts in the middle of the calendar. I think this one does fit the bill. And indeed, Adidas. They've been jumping all around this list today. Johnny says, looks like a can of Carling. It does have that kind of Carling vibe, doesn't it? It does have that sort of, even just the kind of 3D. There's something a bit, I can see that in an ad for Carling or similar. And now, I was going to say our final on this show. Have we done? Oh, hang on a minute. We've not ranked these shirts, have we? So there were more missing. Of course. Sorry, guys. So here we go. I don't think we've done these three. DC. No, okay, good. We've got some more to talk about today. And there are some good ones. Chicago. I have not Chicago. Right. So It looks like that's kind of weird. I think what happened was, if I remember correctly, we were basing it off the pictures on the day from Twitter. So we did get a few like the Houston one there and Columbus, but we didn't go as far as some of the other ones. So here we go. We're ending on a range of MLS shirts. Good stuff, good stuff. Let's come to the away shirt. Now this is a colour scheme which is quite attractive. It's not the most unique, but of course it is, you know, the club's colour scheme. I must say, I think this is excellent. Having this detail, the kind of wave detail as an embossed pattern is superb. That's something which I think separates some what would otherwise be, you know, decent designs from actually excellent designs. I love it when it's an embossed pattern. The fact you can feel it on the shirt. I love that embossed patterns. If you kind of shine a light over a kit or kind of see a kit in different lighting, you get to see elements of the pattern popping through. So I must say, this is excellent. I mean, this is just, look at that. I think it's really strong. It's a really, really nicely executed design in an attractive color scheme. And I must say, I think this is an easy. This is pushing Volcano to again. I think I'd probably just keep it out of there, but not by much. I think this is, you know, again, I love the structure detail. Very simple, but it does look good. This detail again, word-based details I can kind of take or leave, but I think that looks pretty solid. Overall, I'm really high on this, and to be honest, I'm not seeing many people talk about this one. Am I right in saying, did we see one of these not carried over from last year? Maybe it's a different sponsor or something. I'm not sure. Am I right? Or did we just see a leak of this a while ago? I think that maybe is what I'm thinking of. This is really good. This is really good. I actually think, to be honest, I didn't realise how much I like this one. I think we're looking at something high flames to. I'd take it over the Minnesota shirt, for example, even though the Minnesota one has a bit more of an obvious visual punch to it with the colour scheme. For me, this is something more in this kind of region. Yeah, I think it compares well to the Sagantoshi shirt there. Yeah, this is the kind of thing you were hoping to see. I think for me anyway. When you saw the Inter Miami branding and you saw that, it's nothing crazy, but I think because the Adidas template is in it's a good place at the moment. It helps as well. This is excellent. Like the stripes there with a little bit of the darker pink on the underside. Just really attractive. Although I will say it's funny, you see some shots there, the pink is a lot more kind of neon. Photo editing problems. That's nothing new. But then we come to the home shirt. And again, I'm sure we saw this last year. I'm going to just go search it now. I'm sure. Obviously, the MLS tradition is that they tend to keep one shirt and then change one. Yeah, so what is different with this one? Is this a mistake? Is this actually different? It could be that we've got a detail which we didn't have before. I think this is exactly the same, right? It looks exactly the same. Please correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I'm going to just say this is the same and move on. But if I'm wrong, let me know. Chicago Fire. Now this is, I mean, great example here of details in the hem. We talked about that just now. It could be more attractive, but that's not bad. Interesting to see the C from the crest on the back. Of all the kind of options to go for a backlit detail, crest elements to me feel a little bit half-hearted, or at least not as excited as a freshly designed element. But it looks good. It fits well. I think without a sponsor, this one does look very plain. It suffers from this classic problem where you have a kind of all over pattern or quite a busy pattern, and there's a plain area for the sponsor. That it just feels like it's not finished. But with the light blue shorts, that balances out nicely. I don't think I'm as excited as I should be. I think with the chevron, it's kind of like chevrons, isn't it? Well, with the confetti here, I'm guessing that is what it's supposed to be based on. Okay, flag of Chicago, fair enough. Yeah, I don't think, honestly, I don't think this one's doing too much for me. I can see why people would get on board with it, and I do think, I would have liked to see this detail, or these kind of the confetti, the chevrons, whatever you want to call them. I think a bit smaller and a bit more intricate, and probably just all over the body, to be honest, especially if you're not going to have a sponsor. So I'm sort of falling a little bit. I think this is like a candle tier for me. When I first saw this, it certainly, again, it has a kind of immediate draw, a bit like the kind of the Minnesota shirt or some of the other MLS shirts. But I do actually think if we were to be really critical, I think, like, for example, I would take the Red Bull shirt over this, and I actually think it does a bit of what the Colorado shirt does, but not quite as well. With the Colorado shirt, I think some of the details are a bit stronger, and I think some of the criticisms I had of that Colorado shirt, I think you could replicate for this one. Yeah, I actually think you're going to stick it here, and honestly, it feels a bit wrong doing it. You've got Atlanta there, but I think this actually, for me, feels a little bit. Maybe if you didn't have the big gap in the sponsor, but then the centralized crest, I'm not so keen on. As you can see, I'm not really sure where I'm landing on this one. So somewhat muted. I should be moving Adidas again, shouldn't I? I forgot to do that. So we had, obviously, with the Inter Miami, that was good. Then we kind of come back. I think we're kind of, let's go here for now. Again, we should be moving that each and every time. But now we come to a really attractive shirt in the LA Galaxy away kit. Now, I think this one could have been even better. But this has a really pleasing theme of the flag of LA. So similar, we talked about the flags. That was the same with the Chicago kit just now. But this also has a color scheme which reminiscent of some of the early LA kits. And again, if we pull up old football shirts, I'll show you guys what I mean. Some of the early LA Galaxy kits had these kind of nice color schemes. Particularly, I mean, even the original LA kits played on the flag colours in really nice ways. And this reminds me a lot of the recent was it Flamengo or Fluminense? I can't remember, I'm very sorry. But the one of the Brazilian club third shirts in a similar colour scheme. I think this is really strong. I like the matching collar and cuffs. Details, it could have been more. The jock tag is nice, but very simple. It is literally just the flag. We could see something in the hem to take it to the next level. But the overall impact is really good. I think the shirt looks excellent. The colours with this one. I mean, especially, again, depending on the editing, you might get different shades. But I really like it when it looks a little bit orange in the light there. The gold portion, I should say. So, I really like it. I think this is another, I think this is kind of like the Inter Miami kind of level for me. Another one of the better MLS shirts. One which I would be, I'd love to see more in person. So, like, this is honest. I'm telling you guys, I really do think this is the best year for MLS kits since Adidas had their league-wide deal. And I keep saying that, and I probably should go back and check. Because there is a bit, recency bias is very much a thing, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, I think this is good. I think this deserves to be in this kind of territory. Let's stick it here. But it's another good advert for Adidas. So we'll stick a bit higher. Again, they've been all over the shop today, but I would say they're in a good spot this year. Certainly with their MLS kits. Couple more before we round off the day. Again, apologies if you are tuning in just recently. I did originally have in my schedule that I was going to 4. I'm going to be finishing a bit earlier. But what I will do, guys, is in between the next episode, which will probably be in a couple of weeks' time, we'll do eBay next week, and then we'll do the Hot Wall the week after. I'm going to go through and basically fill in the gaps, because there are a number of pages where we've not had a kit. Rated the kit, I should say. So I'm going to go through that, do that off screen. We'll start the next Hot One episode with a bit of a summary of what I've done in the meantime, and then we can focus on the newest releases only. Basically, just to give us a bit more time to talk about the new kits. Yeah, so we're going to trial that, and we'll see how that goes. Cool. So Sporting Kansas City. I don't like the one button. That is a personal gripe. Yeah. Is that Patrick Mahomes? That was a bit of a unexpected. I'm pretty sure that's Patrick Mahomes. If it is a player that looks like Patrick Mahomes, I apologise, but I'm pretty sure that is. We of course just lifted the Super Bowl, but anyway, that's a side point. That's really thrown me. Nice back day detail. I like that. And it looks like we've got, Salia playing back. The hoops, it's kind of going for the sailor vibe. I will say that I think this one is a bit too simple. We've seen kind of. It's funny because that's the replica, isn't it? Funny to see I might be wrong. Maybe that isn't, or it's a prototype. It's certainly not the same shirt as the one here because you see in the cuffs. But anyway, and the collar. It is certainly a shirt which I think just feels a bit too safe. Obviously a home shirt like this, which is a bit more kind of retro, a bit more simple. That's fine, but with the team's color scheme like this, which is relatively low key, it's hard to get too excited. Now, what I will say is the place of the sponsor is good, and again, I think were it not a one button collar, I could see myself actually maybe even considering something in the Flames tier, just because even though it is simple. I think there's something there with the hoops look. I believe it's a similar to an old kit as well. Obviously, you want it on the back, so maybe not Flames tier, but as is, it has to be. I mean, probably lower than Toronto, not by much. I think something around here feels reasonable. I do actually think it's better than the Cincinnati shirt. That's one of my least favourites from MLS this season. So Sporting Kansas City, yeah, I think that's gonna take down the average of Adidas there. It's a counter t-shirt. I mean, the thing is, because the standard is actually pretty high in MLS this year, what would otherwise be a pretty decent shirt in other years ends up, I think, being a little bit on the more underwhelming side. It feels more underwhelming than it would on some other years. I just said it's definitely Patrick Mahomes. He's been seen at some sporting games in the past. Very nice. Very nice. And now we finish with DC United. Now, guys, there was a lot of hype about this one. Early leaks suggested that DC were going to play on the whole kind of cherry blossom theme. And there's a number, I believe a number. Well, here we go. I was just about to say, I believe there's a number of cherry blossom trees in Washington, and indeed, that is what the press release says here. Apparently, they were gifted to the States from Japan. Very nice. But anyway, I think the execution of this actually is a bit underwhelming. Now, looking at there's many ways they could have gone about this. They could have done a very abstract pattern. They could have done something more obvious. This is, I think one of the weaker options. It's certainly, for me, when I look at this, I don't know, I don't really like the end result. I don't think it's that attractive. It's hard to put a finger on why. I do think the overall look is quite nice. I do like that shade of pink. It's a very soft pink, but it looks nice. Just adds a little bit without being too garish. But I just think the cherry blossoms themselves, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I'm sure there was several versions of ideas. I mean, Elijah is kind of vocalized what I'm thinking, really saying ideas great, but execution ain't. Yeah, I don't think the executions. Again, there was a lot of hype. Obviously, it's funny when you see these early leaks. It sometimes can be a bit unfortunate because people get excited. They start designing blossom-based kits and cherry blossom kits, and I think I had my expectations just quite high. But regardless, even trying to put that aside, I do think this is a miss. Sadly, and would like to see this on pitch if it hasn't already been worn. I must admit I didn't catch a lot of the first week games, or see a lot of the images from the kits of those early games. But I don't. I actually think this is it's an volcano possibility in terms of the idea, but the execution actually ends up being a lot weaker. So much so that I hate to say it, I think it deserves to be in the calendar, albeit at the higher end of the calendar. And there's a cluster of MLS shirts which are like this, but I mean it's like this for me. For me, I don't think it's hit the mark at all, despite it being a very good idea. I think this is a quintessential example, I would say, of a strong idea that doesn't have the visuals of that pattern. I don't think are very nice at all. Yeah, and it's a real shame because the idea is a good one. There's a nice cherry blossom detail on the back there, which helps tell the story of the shirt, and that to be honest, that is very nice. I do like that. Look at this. I don't know. I think the Charlotte kit's better. It's a bit more of a garish colour scheme, but I do think the embossed crowds on that one were a real draw. Yeah, maybe if this had an embossed cherry blossom pattern, now we're talking. There we go. That in the start, thinking of like the Inter Miami kit or whatever. I just said I personally like the Sakura cherry blossom jersey. Hopefully I can get one when they visit the Revs in mid-July and wear it while in Japan in August. Nice plan. I like to say it's a pass for me. Guys, we're going to leave it there. That has been today's episode of the Hot Wall. And we did start the day with the Volcano tier entry. I really like the AC Milan shirt. That went straight into the Volcano tier. But we also had, so far, our worst shirt of the year. A team called Loudon in the States. A couple of Adidas templates. Quite underwhelming. But lots to talk about. And again, MLS kits very much dominated the early conversation this season. I think it's fair to say that it's been a good year for MLS, broadly speaking. I would say that actually, as a whole, it's undoubtedly one of the better years for MLS kits. It's just a shame they're so expensive, but that's a side issue. But thank you for your time. Great to have some familiar faces and a few less familiar faces along with us today for the stream. All being well, on Tuesday, eBay shirt hunting will return. It's been a few weeks since we did that, but I'm glad to say that we'll be back doing that. And then the Hot Wall will most likely resume in a couple of weeks' time. In the meantime, in between now and then, I'm going to be ranking shirts off screen. If there's any really kind of juicy releases which I want to talk about specifically on camera, I might save that and do that at the start of the next episode. But any questions for the final few minutes, do ping them in the chat, guys. I'll be very happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll say goodbye and yeah. But thank you anyway for hanging out. As I say, I'll wait a minute before I disappear. But thank you for hanging out anyway. I hope you have a good Thursday. If you are in the States, as a few of my viewers are, have a good day. And if you're in Europe or elsewhere and your day's somewhat coming to a close, hope you've had a good day and have a good evening. Oh dear. But yeah, thank you again for your company. These streams, even when they're a bit quieter, they're just 10 times better, 100 times better with a bit of chat, a bit of interaction. So thank you for hanging out. Thank you for spending time. If you're watching this on catch up as well, I appreciate, some of these videos, they get decent numbers of views after they've gone live. So that's always, much appreciated. So thank you if you're not watching live, but I really do appreciate it. And just thanks again as always, Phil. See you for the email show this week. Thank you, mate. Thank you for your time as always. Look forward to hanging out on Tuesday. Guys, thank you. I will leave you with the usual outro screen. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. And again, maybe you're watching this on catch up. But if you're not subscribed, it really makes a difference to the channel. It really helps grow the channel. So thank you. If you do subscribe, if you haven't, make sure you hit the button and you can keep up to date with what I do. Don't forget to watch the Belgrado documentary as well. If you've not seen that, check out that. It's probably the best video I've ever done. It's on the channel. It's the most recent upload before this one. Cool. Have a good one, guys. Have a good day. I will see you very soon for another one.